Oh man, bro, even worse than I thought it would be, man. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Dugai, coming at y'all with another episode of Drop It Downs with Mr. Dugai. And today I'm going to talk about last night, just epic beatdown of epic proportions as the Georgia Bulldogs beat the TCU Horned Frogs 65-7 to win back-to-back national championships. Before I get into this video, for everyone, if you want to give me a follow on my social media platforms, I'm gonna have all that information down in the description box. May not always get a chance to respond to questions and comments on these videos, so feel free to DM me. Whenever I get a chance to, I'll get back at you. Come holler at your boy. Also, if you're a Madden player on Xbox One, excuse me, I have my Xbox One gamer tag down in the description box. Man, look, before I get into a lot of stuff, man, that I know a lot of people want to get my opinion on. First off, I want to tip my hat and give a congratulations to Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs on winning back-to-back national championships. The first team since Alabama did it against us in Notre Dame. Just big ups to them, man. Big ups to them, way to get it done, way to represent the SEC really well. As far as the game, from the start on the actual game, I mean, obviously, Georgia just was too talented. Georgia, this is the difference this is why people want these top five recruiting classes. If you get talent with commitment and great coaching and resources, this is the type of product you get, man. And Stetson Bennett, shout out to him. It's a nice story. Somebody who, he's old. He is older than everybody. People was laughing saying he was playing with children. But, shout out to him. He stuck it out. Is where his heart wanted to be. He could have played at other places. I mean, a lot of people said he was even going to come my way and go play for the UL Raging Cajuns. But I think he was going there until Georgia decided to give him an opportunity or whatever. And he went there. He sat behind people. And when he went out there, he was never always appreciated by the Georgia Bulldog fan base. But at the end of the day, he's a two-time champion. He stepped up. A lot of people wanted JT Daniels out there last year, but he stepped up and made the plays when he had to. Got the championship last year and came back this year was a whole new quarterback. I mean, a quarterback with command of the offense and extreme confidence. Even sometimes came across as a little cocky. But hey, I respect it. Shout out to him, man. That offensive line is just big and physical. Those running backs are physical. Those receivers, man. Brock Bowers to me is the next Rob Gronkowski. I think he could be a top 5 pick or top 10 pick in next year. Whoever needs a weapon next year is going to take Brock Bowers real early in the draft. Lord, forbid everything stays well with him. McIntosh, another guy who's not one of those 4 or 5-star guys out there making plays. And defensively, they just swallowed up their TCU offense, man. I mean, I apologize, I forgot the DB name, but number 22, with 2 picks in the first half, he got a defensive player of the game. Just a real display of domination last night, and you got to tip your hat to Georgia. I knew how good they were. They beat LSU pretty handily for the SEC championship game. I did think TCU, because of just the magic carpet ride they was on, would at least make it at least a 10-point game. But, Georgia came out focused. When talent is focused like that, like, you can't do nothing with that, man. So shout out to them for that. And there's a couple of other things we could debate. I got thoughts on a few other things. One thing a lot of people was asking, did Georgia pass Alabama as far as the premier program in college football? Right now, you gotta say, yeah, in my opinion, for right now. Now, granted, I understand they didn't get to play each other this year. But you talk about 2 straight national championships. They played for another one a couple of years before that. Kirby putting out top 5 recruiting classes every year. I mean, hey, they there. I mean, you gotta, show them love. And they're in the East. They're in the SEC East. I know Tennessee had a nice run this year, but you see what they did to them with a healthy Hendon Hooker. Florida is a mess right now. South Carolina is getting better, but they clearly can't play with them. Kentucky's about to lose Will Levis, and we know Vanderbilt ain't about to play with them. So yeah, they got an easy path. And Auburn is, I think though the cross matchup is Auburn every year out of the West. Though I do think Hugh Freeze will do well over there. It's gonna take him time to get that thing rolling. So I think Georgia right now is the premier team, in college football right now. And another thing I'm hearing a lot of people kind of complaining about is the 12-team playoff. They think this is why you don't go to a 12-team playoff. And I completely and adamantly disagree with that. Look, TCU, we knew they you know, we knew they didn't stand a chance in this game. But at the same time, I mean, it ain't TCU fault. It's Michigan fault. Like Michigan went out there and lost to them. Another thing is why we need to go to 12 teams is because this is what unless your name is Ohio State, which we see how Ohio State nearly beat Georgia last week, or unless your name is Clemson, when Dabo got a quarterback he believes in, or unless you Ohio State or Clemson, when you going up against the best the SEC has to offer that season, whether it's LSU and Burrow and Matthew and all them, or Alabama or Georgia, unless you Ohio State or Clemson, you don't belong on the field with the best of the SEC. That's just how that goes. I mean, look at it for example, and I hate to use Alabama for an example because y'all know how I feel about them, and LSU beat them and won the SEC West. Alabama played Kansas State on New Year's Eve and destroyed them. You know what I'm saying? The same Kansas State team that beat TCU. So that kind of lets you know that where the playing field is. You see, the problem is why we do need a 12-team playoffs because you get these conference champs from these other conferences that's not named Ohio State, that's not named Clemson, that and probably a Notre Dame, and you get them against a Georgia, Alabama, LSU, or whoever got it going on that year, and they get absolutely destroyed, because they're in there with one conference loss as opposed to a team like Alabama in there with two conference losses, but TCU is in the Big 12. Alabama is in the SEC. And I get it. LSU was good. And who else Alabama lost to? I forget who they lost to already, man. Tennessee, and Tennessee was really good. So TCU didn't play nobody like that. You know what I'm saying? In their conference, Kansas State is the best team that they played in that conference. So the talent, that's the thing. You're going to put the Big 12 champ in there with one loss, and they're going to play against a team like Georgia, and this is what happens. So that's why you need to expand the playoff. I get it. You're going to get more blowouts in the first round and all that other stuff, but, hey, maybe you see a Georgia versus Alabama. Maybe you see a Georgia versus Ohio State not till a championship game. You know what I'm saying? Like, TCU would have to beat other teams to get to a Georgia. It ain't just beat Michigan and then you play Georgia. You got to beat a couple of other teams. So that's why I feel like the expansion I think gonna make it better. You would have probably ended up with Georgia versus Alabama last night. And I know people tired of seeing it, but hey, if they're the two hottest, most talented teams, I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, that's my thing, man. You gotta blame the people putting these conferences equal. You also gotta blame teams like not only Michigan. You gotta blame Ohio State as well because Ohio State lost to Michigan. If Ohio State would have beat Michigan and then when they conference, Ohio State would have been the 2 seed. Maybe they would have played TCU and beat TCU and then got to play Georgia in a championship game. If that Georgia-Ohio State game was the national championship game, nobody would have said anything. But we actually would have been so excited today. But I mean, it is what it is, man. I think the 12-team playoff thing is going to make things better, and I can't wait to see it. But shout out to Georgia, man. They were just clearly more dominant than TCU, and that's why you got to put more teams in because honestly, you need to put more SEC teams in there. But with that being said, that's all I got for y'all today. Appreciate y'all checking out the video. Hit the like button for your boy. Give me a subscribe. I have LSU, NCAA, and content of my other teams throughout the year. Y'all have a blessed one. Go Tigers.